Oh, everybody, Russ and the West Ham Network, hope you are safe and well. What a wonderful place West Ham social media is at the moment. Um, Now, obviously, we there's once again within the fan base there's a divide. I think it's fair to say the one thing West Ham fans all want is for a team to do well. That's what we can all agree on. Now, whether it's Graham Potter is the person in charge who's going to do it or not, that is up to you, and everyone's allowed their prerogative. Again, I just want to stress, please be nice to each other. Just because someone disagrees with you doesn't mean you have to berate them. And I've seen that a lot on social media, a lot on Twitter, particularly, and a few comments here on the chat as well. Different people have different opinions. Myself, as I said, it's for me, it's the easy. Hindsight's always a great thing, and the easy thing is to say, "That's it, yeah, get a new manager in." If we get a new manager in, it's going to cost us the best part of 10, 15 million quid, and that eats into our transfer budget for this year. So I don't think, and I think we still have the same problem. As I said, we still got the same side. We still got a squad rebuild, and there was a comment made, and I've taken the persons off. I don't want to sort of lambast them, but actually it was a really interesting comment, and it was something I wanted to look into a lot more. They said you can't give Potter money to waste, and this is not just this person in general. It's been, I think, several others have said, we need the right manager, the right head coach in to do the rebuild and stuff like that. You can't give Potter money to waste. And I thought, has he wasted money before? West Ham have wasted money, whether it's under a David Moyes setup, whether it is under Pellegrini setup. We have wasted a lot of money on a lot of players, and we have done, and that was one of the things that that Moyes was often lambasted about, saying, "Oh, we were the seventh highest spenders or something like that over his period." And there was a lot of players who have come and gone. The likes of Skamaka, the likes of Haller, the likes of Felipe Anderson, just per three. But there's probably another dozen I could think of at the top of my head. Pretty sharpish, and not just and even if you just look at the time at the London Stadium under Bilic, under two Moyes eras, and Lopetegui and Pellegrini, and we have wasted a lot of money. But has Potter wasted money in his, and I think our hit rate, if I was looking at, say, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 signings, our hit rate ain't great. We've still got players in the setup like Aaron, who's been here since, for 10 years now. Could be offered a new deal anyway. So I thought, do you know what? I'm going to look at that in a bit more detail, because it's easy to say a comment like that. And I know several others have said, we need to get the right manager in, and but there's no guarantee with anything. There's no guarantee a new manager would work. There's no guarantee Graham Potter will work. Football is about risk and calculated risk. Now, one of the things that Potter has often been hit over the head with, in my opinion, is the sort of money ball. He's got a team around him, which we have kind of now. We've got Carl McCauley, who is his right-hand man and has been his right-hand man throughout all of his clubs. We've got Maximilian Kahn. We've got one of the best data analysts in the game. And him and Carl apparently are really hitting off, and and are working tirelessly to bring a list of players together. So I went back and had a look on Transfer Market at players that Potter has been signed under Potter's time. Now, I'm not saying that Potter has signed all of them, because that was obviously, again, something which was mentioned about Tim Stein. Oh, Tim Stein didn't find Kudus or Alvarez. No, but he got the deals done. It's a team. And if you look at these players, and I mean, for what, and I've put him into sort of Brighton, and the Brighton bit in the, I haven't looked at Swansea really, or his time at Osterland either, because, to be honest, I think that's a bit far off the system. But for Brighton and Chelsea particularly, you look at those names, and they brought in Leandro Trossard. I think they paid about 15 million euros for Ghent for him. He hadn't done too bad. Adam Webster, he could well be a West Ham player next year. Neil Mopai, Tariq Lamptey, Lallana from Liverpool, Joel Vateman, De Heck, Danny Welbeck from Watford. If someone has said to you, we're going to be signing Danny Welbeck, someone said to you, we're signing Danny Welbeck 5 years ago, we'd have gone, are you off your fucking trolley? But he's probably one of the most important players for Brighton at the moment, even still now. Moses Caicedo from Independiente. I think they paid, I want to say they want to paid about 15 million for him? I reckon about 25, something like 25 million-ish for him. Sold to Chelsea for over 100 million. Mitoma, they bought him for 3 million euros from Kawasaki Front. And then, they were looking for 90 million for him in the summer, in the January transfer window. Cucurella from Getafe, Julio Anquesco, Billy Gilmore, who was smashing it. And then obviously then the money starts coming in a little bit and he can start splashing it. But, the likes of Andrea Santos, David Fana, who a player we've been linked with, Badashili, again, a player that I wanted at West Ham. And due to injury, hasn't the best time. João Felix, Mudryk, I can see, it's high profile. Nono Madueke, I think is a great player. Enzo Fernandez, obviously they paid over 100 million for him. But when he's got limited budget, which is what we're going to have, I don't think he ain't done bad. And actually, in a weird way, I am pretty confident of giving him his team, not just him giving the team budget to go out and buy, because I think he'll get good value out of players. I haven't done the sums, but straight away, Caicedo would have probably knocked out in terms of what we paid for. Chelsea paid for him. That probably would take out everything. Pretty much was spent for everyone else, or there or thereabouts. To be honest, obviously the likes of Lamptey is still there, and obviously Levi Colwill was on a loan spell. Billy Gilmore obviously went to Napoli. Cucurella went to Chelsea, and there's players there who are, in terms of hit rate. You look at those Brighton players: 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I think he's signed about 25. There's people like Simon, what's his name? Adi Ingra, I think his name was. Karl Skeppen from Ajax goalkeeper, and people like that as well. But the majority of them have gone on to have very, very, very good careers in the Premier League and have made a real impact in when they were playing for Brighton. And indeed, I was listening to a Talk Sport yesterday, and someone said, what did he do at Brighton? Got them 9th. Brighton weren't Brighton as they are now. Brighton were a side that were languishing under Chris Hughton, and he changed. He started what was the blueprint that is Brighton now. He changed them from a side which was languishing in the bottom, which we are now, with Brighton, to a top 10 side. That was a hell of an achievement. And off the back of that, then they improved. Now he got the foundations, and that's why I'm happy to give him time, because at the moment I'm in the situation now, and I know it's like a broken record, but he ain't got people he wants. He's got a lot of players in that side that needs that he wants to shift. The interview yesterday with Füllkrug said it, and I know I'm sort of hanging on that a little bit, but that's despite what all the ITKs, that is from an actual person who's in the squad, which is very unusual to get that information. Usually, you don't get that information. It's third hand, and then it's Chinese whispers. It came from Füllkrug, and he said, we were shit. Half the team are trying to do what the manager wants, half the team aren't. It needs to be sorted out. Now, he's got a bit of form, though, Füllkrug has. He had a falling out with Sancho, at Borussia Dortmund. He also had I think one in Germany as well. So, if he doesn't think people are pulling their weight, he's happy to get involved. And I like that. I do like that a lot. So, in reference to the point that, this rebuild, the fact is, in all honesty, he ain't going to go. They're not going to sack him because we sort of can't afford to, really, because from a monetary perspective, it's, and I get the theory. Oh, if we get 5-3 places up, and that'll go. It's a bit late now, but that will eat into the budget. And I think actually I'm quite happy with giving him money to spend in the summer. His team. It's not just him; it's his team. And if you're bringing in players of the likes of Matoma, the likes of Moses Caicedo, those types of players you're looking at, fuck me, I think that's what we need. That's what we need. He's got a limited budget, and if the computers and the data and everything that's going on in the background in Moneyball with Max Khan and Carl McCauley, we've got some really good people behind it, and you can see that some of the players have been linked to are not like players from the top 6 Premier League, or even in the top 4 or 5 leagues. They might be in the Pro League, or they might be in the Austrian league, or something like that as well. So it's we're all human. We've all got our own opinions, and I have a different opinion than probably what's been not the majority. I don't think it's the majority, but there'll be a big chunk of people who are disillusioned at the moment, and I get it totally. And it has been, all in all, probably one of the worst seasons I can remember without being relegated. It has been. There's been a few, but a few bright sparks. But the thing is, they're far too and far between. Newcastle away, Arsenal away, but I can pick 2. That's probably about it. Which is quite sad in playing 33 games, and I can pick 2, which I think we've done, really well. We've done really well those 2 games. But I just thought, because it was really interesting, because it just triggered me, but I thought, and it's not just this comment. There's been several other comments. People go, let's bring in an elite manager. I want to come to West Ham and work in our setup. Will they? And I think actually, and people say, it was the cheap option. Potter was the cheap option. We had to woo Potter, really. I think, in all honesty, he didn't have to come. He could carry on earning probably more money staying, not working, on the Chelsea wage. He had a 7-year deal or something like that, didn't he? Something ridiculous. So it's a lot of pain, and I get it. I get it totally. I totally understand. But for me, I just think it's not too soon. But I just think there is a massive job ahead, and actually, I kind of trust Potter in terms of the players he wants to bring in. The players brought to him by Carl McCauley, the players brought to him by Max Khan. Now, obviously, getting them through the books, so to speak, with Mr. Sullivan is a different question, but that's not Potter's fault. If he's being presented and he's bringing, and again, we won't find out about that. I mean, last summer we were linked to 165 players. We signed 8, maybe. There was a 20-man swing, players in and out. Probably going to be at least 15, I reckon, at West Ham. We've got 5 players out on 5 players out of contract. 5 or 6 out on top of my head. Plus, you've got 3 on loan. Plus, in terms of the likes of Aged, the likes of Zuma. People forget about Kurt, but Kurt's still technically a West Ham player. Freddie Potts, obviously, he'll be coming back. A lot of players have got the academy out on loan. We spoke about that on, was it Tuesday or Wednesday this week? So I think we need some consistency. I think we need and I think, and I still believe, yes, it might be blind faith. Yes, it might be rose-tinted glasses. But the fact of the matter is, he ain't going anywhere. The club ain't going to get rid of him now, because it's going to cost them too much money. And actually, they see him as a long-term project. The fact that they spent over £1 million to bring in one of his staff shows there's a level of commitment there to the manager, to the head coach, and to the setup. And I think, in terms of evidence, obviously I haven't seen much evidence on the pitch to say this is the right way of, in terms of in terms of that evidence, he's got a far better. His team, I'm going to say his team, obviously. I think his team have got a far better hit rate. I'm not really counting the Chelsea players as such because he had money to spend there. But still, the likes of Malo Gusto, good player. Madueke from PSV, very good player. I really, really, really rate him. But in terms of his signings in Brighton, which is probably a similar budget he's going to be working to at West Ham, I think. He ain't got a bad hit rate. Let's be honest. He ain't got a bad hit rate. Anyway, and I'm sure people go, oh, but what about this person? What about Mudryk? Yeah, I get it. But I'm looking at it as a whole. One swallow doesn't make a summer. No, that's the wrong expression. But you know what I mean. As a collective, I think he's got a decent hit rate. Anyway, take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, keep the faith, cheer up. Hope you're having plenty of cross buns and Easter eggs, and I'll see you soon. Much love. Bye bye.